Hello and welcome back to Leicester Fan TV for something new today, a new format, a new type of show. We've spoken about it previously in the week and here it is. So this is the Championship Chat. Quite a simple name, I know. We couldn't think of anything else, but it does the job. So this will just be a weekly show and we will just be, well, apart from today, going forward, it will just be looking forward to a selection of fixtures that weekend. Hopefully, Chris and Brad will be with me every week. But if for whatever reason they can't make it, I'm sure we'll get a replacement lined up. So I'll start with you, Chris. So, Chris, obviously, if you want to explain, you're not actually a proper Cardiff fan, but out of all the clubs in the Championship, it is Cardiff that you follow.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, thank you very much for having me on. I really appreciate it. So those who may know me know I'm a big Liverpool fan. I used to feature on a channel called Anfield Agenda with Craig Holden and Paddy Murphy. That was good fun anyway. But over my sort of life watching the Championship, it is my favourite league to watch in the world. And I make no secret of this. And luckily, about sort of 4 years ago, I moved to Cardiff. And I've grown a real affiliation with the club and the city, and I love their fans. Also, did some reporting on Swansea City as well as Newport County as well, but obviously they will never be good enough to be in the Championship. So, so I'm not a proper Cardiff fan, but I hope I can bring some form of knowledge. I'll put that in inverted commas anyway.
Well, yeah, don't mention Newport because they shafted us in the cup a couple of years ago. So that wasn't very good. And then we've got Brad over here, who is a Huddersfield fan. You can tell by the badge and the kit he's wearing. How are you, mate? You all right?
Yeah, good, very good. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, like I said, just buzzing to get into everything. Really, we've got a lot of predictions, so it'll be sweet.
Yeah, I can see people already giving Chris a bit of stick in the chat.
Come on, that's guys. Fair enough. I'd expect nothing less. But I tell you what, you'd go far and wide to try and find a plastic Cardiff fan. I'll tell you that for one.
Mate, it was the same with me. So I'm actually from Wales. I grew up in Wales, in Pembrokeshire, and when I was in school and I was supporting Leicester, people were like, "What the hell are you doing? Why do you support Leicester?" But we were shit at the time, so no one could really call me a plastic or anything. So. But that was when we just got promoted to the Championship back then. So we're back here now after nearly, I think it's 10 years nearly. So that's why we're doing the Championship Chat. So just to let you in the comments as well, it's not in there now, but the link to both Chris and Brad's channels will be in there shortly. So if you want to check them out, then click the links. Right, so lads. What we're going to start with today, like I said, going forward, it will be a preview to the fixtures. But as we're still 2 weeks away, well, it's next weekend, isn't it? We're going to be doing a few predictions, which are always hard, seeing as though the transfer window is still going on. So what we'll do is we will start with the top of the table, the top end of the table, and we'll work our way down. So I've put this into one category, really: winners and automatic promotion. You can just give two and not say what position they'll be in, or you can tell me, who you think will win the league, who will finish second. So I'll start with you, Chris. What have you got for this one? Who do you see finishing first and second in the Championship this season?
I think you'll be happy with me. I've got Leicester first. Leicester first. I think as the vast majority of fans will do, because blimey, you guys were not expected to get relegated from the Premier League. I know it was a difficult summer last season and it just unraveled poorly. But in another year, like, you could have stayed up in a season where, it was a very, very strange season, had the World Cup in the middle as well. It just all fell wrong at the wrong times for you guys. Brendan Rodgers stayed, I think, 3 or 4 months too long, and it all just unraveled. You've managed to keep hold of the vast majority of your squad, which is a good start. I mean, Maddison leaving is the big hole, and I think probably Iheanacho may leave as well. Dewsbury Hall potentially as well. Harvey Barnes has gone as well, which is, he was the main one for you guys last season. But yeah, Leicester City in first place are my ones to win the Championship.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really not liking. We'll see what Brad says in a second, but it's really weird for Leicester fans being favourites because we've always liked being the underdogs. I mean, even the year we won the Championship in 2014, we weren't favourites. I think Burnley were favourites that year. They came second. So I don't know. It feels a bit weird. It's kind of, I don't know. It's like it's in a jinxers. That's how it feels in the back of your mind. But hopefully we do win the league or come second. I'll say mine now. So I do have Leicester to win the league, to come first. Brad, who have you got for that one, mate?
Leicester.
Guys, we are definitely doing the right things to get on your side.
I knew I chose the right team.
Simple reason being, you've already been promoted because you've got us at our place as our first home game of the season.
Yeah, tell us about that.
So in the past 3 years, everyone who's had Huddersfield Town, so our first home game for the past 3 years has been promoted. Or I think won the league. Yeah, won the league every time. So we had, Norwich in COVID,
right,
won the league. Fulham, the year we got to Wembley, won the league. Burnley last year, won the league.
So it's looking good already just from that.
So if the AFL couldn't clearly hate us anymore, proof's in the pudding, like, so.
Yeah, I mean, lads, I just want to get your quick thoughts on this one. The signings Leicester have made. I mean, there's somebody in our chat, which we've made, Joe, who's a Leeds fan. He's been giving me stick all summer because he doesn't think that the signings Leicester have made are as good as other people make out. What do you think, Chris, on especially kind of Winks and Cody? Obviously, we've got the new goalkeeper and we've got this Mavididi coming in as well. But just mainly on Cody and Winks, what are your thoughts on them two?
Yeah, people say when you go into the Championship, you have to get experienced Championship players, right? You're getting 2 experienced Premier League players there. I can't see how it can be a bad thing. Let's just say that. Connor Cody has already captained the side to promotion from the Championship. He's an esteemed leader. He played very well for Everton and was a big reason why they stayed up last season, Connor Cody. I think he was right up there with some of the best players they had last year. And then, Harry Winks, I think you get him in the right system. Like Maresca will want to play possession-based football. Harry Winks, if he's given the protection physically, I think technically he'll be the best player in the Championship. So, realistically, you can... I think they're good deals. I mean, you've got Wanya Marcel, who's come back and made a really good impression in pre-season.
Look at that knowledge. Look at that knowledge he's got, eh?
Oh, mate, listen, don't worry. I've done my prepreparation. But yeah, you got has Perez come back as well, if I believe.
No, he's gone. He left on a free. Yeah, he left on a
gone
free.
Permanently. Well, I don't think he'd have been much use anyway. But those 3 in particular, I think you'll be fine. I don't think they're particularly awful signings, but they're not going to they're not going to be your the main guys for you. But I think they'll be really, really, really solid.
Brad, quick thoughts on Cody and Winks. You think they're decent signing? Just to let you know as well, I don't know if you've seen, Cody is actually injured now. It's his first injury in his career, apparently.
Oh, blimey. Just your luck.
3 weeks at Leicester. We've had a really bad injury record over the last couple of years. But we don't know how serious Cody's is. But obviously, let's just say he will be back, before too long. What are your thoughts on those 2 signings?
Well, they're both proven Prem players. So, the players that could probably do a job in any of the, the bottom 10 sides in the Premier League. So the fact that they're in the Championship, I can't wait for our first home game. But obviously, look, it's one of them. Everyone's expecting Leicester to get promoted, whatever the route is. Most people saying top 2. And it's one of them where, you've got a new coach in. The fans seem to believe in his new ideas and his new kind of way of doing things. The players obviously do as well, because players don't go to play for coaches they don't want to play for. That's something else in the modern game. So the fact that the manager's been able to drag players like that down into the Championship where they're too good for, pretty much, obviously shows what he's like as a manager. Now, Winks is a great passer. He's really good at moving the ball about. So you've got a great player in that. Cody, great leader. He's represented his country and he's represented Wolves for a number of years in this level, comfortably winning the league and at the highest level in the Prem. So having those 2 players is massive. You've got 2 really good quality English players, extremely excellent quality for this league. So, and amongst all the others, you've got the keeper and all the other signings. You've used your money well. I'll just be glad that I don't have to see Maddison take a free kick at our place again, because for obvious reasons. But
yeah.
It's kind of like our first weekend's like our first 2 games are like free hits to us, because Plymouth, we've got them at a bad time. A lot of people expect them to go down, but first game don't make a difference. Same for the home game. We're getting it out of the way. I don't like how every year we have the best team first week, but maybe it might be a good thing, because maybe it saved us in the end.
I agree. Let's move to second place. So we've all got Leicester in our number 1 spot. That's brilliant for everyone in the comments and for me as well. Second place, Chris. It's a little bit tough, isn't it? Because obviously you've got the other 2 relegated teams, and you've got a couple of teams who did really well last season in the Championship. So who are you going for?
Oh, I'm to and fro, and to this day, like to this moment, I'm trying to reason in my head, but I'm going with Middlesbrough.
Okay.
I feel like that last season, if they had Michael Carrick for a full season, we'd be talking about them in the Premier League right now.
Right.
It was an absolutely exceptional spell. I mean, I think they won 16 of 20 games when he came in, which is like just a completely, skewed record from a team who was in 20th under Chris Wilder. Obviously, then they had a bit of a tail off towards the end of the season. It didn't really work out for them in the playoffs. They got Lutoned, which I think a lot of teams will get Luton this season in the Premier League, unfortunately. But yeah, I think they've really got the foundations there of going up. And I think, as we mentioned before the call, I mean, like as Brad said, is like you look at teams around who proved it last season and want to move on up. And I think Middlesbrough have those foundations there. So yeah, I'm going with Michael Carrick's Middlesbrough.
Yeah. What about you, Brad? Who are you going with?
I've gone with Southampton purely because I think they've retained a lot of their players that, again, are too good for this league. It's like the constant debate that a lot of people have is there's like a little grey area in between the 2 leagues, which a lot of players are going to thrive in, but it doesn't exist. They come down to the Championship, they walk it, they go up to the Prem, they look like they've lost a head. So, like I say, it's one of them. I expect a lot of key players to show up now. I don't expect them to keep a hold of Ward-Prowse. He'll be gone. But there are still some good quality players in there. I mean, I can't grasp how the team that stopped Man City from winning the 4th trophy last year was Southampton. That baffles me.
Yeah.
Literally the worst of the lot. But that's football. But no, like I say, they've retained a lot of the key players. And I just fancy them for it. A lot of the time, you will see teams that go down, bounce straight back up. That's where the yo-yo term comes from. I think this year will be that case, really, for I'd argue for 2 other teams.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Brad. I've gone Southampton. I just want to know, does Ward-Prowse leave? And if he leaves, it doesn't change anything for you? You still think they'll have enough?
Still. Like I said, I think you're too good to not win it, but Southampton are just that little bit below. And regardless of whether Ward-Prowse goes, I just think that bit more than the teams in this league.
Yeah. Were you going to say something, Chris?
I was just going to say I'll speak about Southampton a bit more later on, but I think they'll struggle, and I'll explain reasons why later on. But we'll move on.
Yeah. It's interesting. Looking forward to that one. I hope you've not got them in relegation, have you?
No, I haven't. No.
Bottom.
Yeah. All right then. Yeah, I've gone Southampton as well. Like I said, for similar reasons to what Brad said. I think they've just kept a lot of great players. For the Championship level. So, let's move on to the playoffs. So we'll start with. It's up to you. Are you guys comfortable with going 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th? Are you? Or are you a bit on an hour?
Hang on, give me a minute.
I'll go with it. I'll back myself.
Yeah, I'll say first. I've got Middlesbrough. I've got Middlesbrough. So just one place below you, Chris. Who have you got in 3rd?
I've got Leeds.
Okay.
Leeds.
Yeah.
I think there's too much Championship experience in there, really. Like Cooper, Bamford, Strout. Great top players in the Championship and have proven themselves. Jack Harrison as well in the Premier League. If they don't lose any of those, Sinistera as well. What a player he is. If he stays there, I think they could get automatically promoted. I genuinely think that. And Daniel Farke's done it twice. So what's stopping him doing it again?
Yeah. What about you, Brad? Who have you got in third place, if you can?
Borough. I've gone with Borough.
Okay.
Like that, I don't think they're good enough to do it automatic. I do think there's more quality there in other sides, but I fully agree with what Chris said. There's no doubt in what Carrick did in that time. You know, when that transition period between two managers coming in, it can ruin you. I mean, I have no clue how we stayed up last year. It was only because of Neil Warnock, simply enough. We had two of those in such crucial parts of the season, and it nearly had us. It nearly had us down and out. It could have happened to Middlesbrough the same. Not like relegation, maybe not that case, but they could have gone from being, wherever they were to a bit lower and then battling it. We've seen worse teams go down. That's the scary thing in this league is you're never guaranteed to be in any position. But yeah, I went Borough third for obvious reasons.
Yeah, so me and Brad so far have got the exact same top three, so we'll see if that continues. Chris, into fourth place.
I've gone Sunderland.
Okay.
Yeah, amazing season last season. So many injuries. Let's just point that out. Yes, they had great loan players come in. Amad Diallo obviously being the highlight of that. But it should have gone a lot worse for them. They should have been around the relegation places. The amount of injuries they had to really, really key players. And Tony Mowbray and Alex Neil between them. Alex Neil and Tony Mowbray between them did an amazing job to get them into the playoffs. For me, I just think there's still maybe a striker away from getting promoted. They brought in a lad from Benfica, I believe, who looks quite good. But yeah, I think they're just one real goal scorer away from being automatic contenders. But fourth place, I think, is probably where they should be aiming.
Yeah, okay. I've got Leeds here. So I was on an R end whether to put them like sixth or fifth, maybe the lower end of the playoffs. But I think for me, fourth place is about right for this season. They have got talent. They have got bags of talent. I still think Leicester are pretty clear. I think we were pretty clear last season in the Premier League. So I think this is the same case now. But like I said, Sinisterra, I mean, he looks an absolute gem of a player. Bamford, if he can stay fit as well, going to be worth some goals in the Championship. Brad, who have you got?
Coventry.
Okay.
Reason being, I think they've signed really well in Ellis Sims. I think he's a really good player, and he proved it at Sunderland. And like you say, that striker they were missing, that were your man right there. But like I say, they did really well, and I really rate the manager. He's a former Town man, and like I say, I've followed him for years now, and he has absolutely smashed it. I'd probably go say we're probably the best coach last year on what he did, because with the squad he had, to get where he did was really tricky. You had a Luton team that had already been in the playoffs the year before. Coventry just steamrolled straight through. But yeah, I've got them fourth. I think they've invested well. Got 3 really good keepers as well.
Okay, into fifth, I've gone with Sunderland here. So they did well. I mean, obviously Amad Diallo was a good player last season. Will they be able to tempt him back? I know. I think he left the stadium for Man United on crutches, I believe, recently. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure if anyone's making moves for him. Who knows? But yeah, I've gone Sunderland in fifth. Chris, what about you?
Blackburn Rovers. My fifth
okay.
place.
Okay.
They flirted recently, and many people will think Christian mental. They've just lost Burton Diaz to Villarreal, but I'll tell you what, the really exciting thing about Blackburn Rovers is their amazing youth conveyor belt. It seems like, obviously, Lewis Travis in midfield, John Buckley, and they've also Ashley Phillips. They might be losing him, but there's a young lad there called Adam Wharton. Now, watch out for him this season. He is an absolute baller, a bit like Harry Winks, but with a bit more legs. Let's just say that. And mate, honestly, that strong midfield will get them through. They've got Tyree Stolen up front as well. Again, another youth product. They've done so well to keep him. Yeah, I think they're going to set alight this season, these players, and get them into the playoffs. Whether they'll get promoted or not, I don't know. Okay,
it's an interesting one. I didn't expect Blackburn to be spoken about, to be honest with you today. So
I think I'm going way off the topic of where you guys are, but I'll be straight with you. I think you'll be shocked here.
Go on, give it to us.
Fifth, I've gone Millwall.
Okay, let's hear it.
Simply enough, I think Gary Rowett is a great manager, and he's he's done really well with the team he's had for the past few years to be where he has. That being said, they've made some really nice signings, championship signings. They've brought in Joe Bryan. Obviously, he's played with Fulham for a while now, and he's, like I say, he's been promoted with them, I believe. And Kevin Nisbet of Hibernian did really well in the Scottish League. And like I say, they've got some really nice, like, little gems in and amongst everywhere, and that's what gets you there. That's what gets you up the table. You likes of Duncan Watmore, quality at Sunderland when he played there. The likes of Honeyman, Zian Fleming, he had a quality season last year. We were meant to sign him, but like the other thousands of players we were meant to sign, but that's it. But like I say, they've bought really well, and I do think, you know, it is Gary Rowett's time. He's like Chris said, with Blackburn, they've flirted for ages now, and I just think this year they'll do it.
Okay, well, there's two, Blackburn and Millwall. I wasn't expecting to hear them in the playoffs, so yes, it's good to hear it. 6th place now, making up the bottom part of the playoff places. I've gone Norwich. I don't know why, if I'm honest. I just looked at the table and haven't seen kind of and had conversations with other Championship fans recently. I don't know. I've just got a feeling Norwich might make it in there. What about you, Chris? Who are you going with?
I'm thinking, do I do it? I'm thinking, do I do it, and do I put my neck on the line? Do I put my neck on the line and say Cardiff? I don't think I can. I'm gonna agree with Brad and say Millwall. So I wasn't originally going to say Millwall, but you convinced me. I was originally thinking Southampton, but then I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go with Millwall. And for the reasons you've just said.
So you've got Southampton aren't in the top 6?
No.
Okay. All right. Carry on.
Yeah, for the reasons that Brad said about Millwall, I think they'll get into the top 6.
I just clocked and I thought, oh wait, he hasn't said Southampton, has he? Okay. All right then. Let's talk about. I'm guessing you said Southampton aren't in the relegation. I'm guessing you might have them for one of the other categories that we.
Yeah.
I'm seeing where this is going now.
Yeah. We'll come on to that in a bit then. So, we're going to take a big drop all the way down to the other half of the championship.
I've not done playoffs yet.
Yeah, Brad
finished 6th. Sorry, mate. Go on.
No, it's all right. Mate. Would you believe it? Norwich.
Okay.
Like I say, our old manager, I rate him heavily. I mean, I think I don't know if he's the same man he was. He says he isn't, but they've taken one of our coaches as well. And on top of that, I just think they've got too good of a squad. It doesn't perform really well, but I feel like given a full year and the right kind of thing, you know, the right kind of ideas, they can get there. But I don't think they're going to storm the league or anything dangerous. 6 is always a team that's been flirting or might get there last minute, like Luton did the year we got to Wembley. Might be a last minute job, but I think they'll just make it.
Yeah. No, cheers for that. I mean, it's a weird one because I see so many people on Twitter, because I'm trying to follow as many championship pages as I can and other championship fans. And
like the walk of shame now, isn't it?
Yeah, I listened to the second tier. I don't know what your two thoughts are on them guys. Yeah, okay. I thought so. I literally listened to 2 episodes. Yeah, I listened to 2 episodes and I thought I don't actually know if what they're saying is right, because like I haven't followed the championship really for like.
They rated the Ipswich Town manager best in the league.
I saw that. Yeah.
They just post a bias. I'm convinced at this point. A guy that's never managed in the championship is the championship's best manager.
Yeah, and they said the same about
seriously, yeah.
They put Maresca. I can't remember which
23rd.
one. Yeah, 23rd. And I was like, because he hadn't managed the championship. But McKenna, crazy.
Scroll.
But yeah, let's head down now to the bottom 3. So the relegation 3 now. I'll start with you this time, Brad. Again, you don't have to do it in order if you don't want to. If you want to, let's just give the 3. Let's just give the 3, not in the position. So,
I've done them in order, so it's up to you.
All right, do that then. Do that. Go in order.
Down. So I've gone in 22nd, and everyone's going to hate me for this, right? But I can't deal with people like speaking about them anymore. It's driving me insane. Ipswich.
Okay.
Now, yeah, the coach might be really good, but it's a massive step from going from League One. League One, you're playing teams like that have like sheds as stadiums. The jump is enormous. People seem to think people are just going to walk up like they're the big cheese, strutting about in a suit on a match day, and he's going to pick up 3 points every week. No. That's not how it works. I think they've got a good squad. They had a really good season, but they weren't like convincingly top in the end. Like it was always a 3 battling, and then Wednesday had that blip and it blew wide open for them. But it wasn't like, oh yeah, people were like, oh yeah, Ipswich, they're going to win it. It wasn't like that. I think they're a good team. They've got a good future, but I think the league is getting harder and harder and harder as the years go on. It's getting harder to get promoted, harder to stay in the league. And I don't think that all that people are making them. And then 23rd, for the same reason, I've got Plymouth.
Okay.
They've not done bad. They've got a good coach again, but it's a massive jump. There's other teams in there that I would have loved to say a team like Birmingham, because every year they're down there, but they're like a rash. You can't get rid of them. They're not going anywhere. I'm telling you, honestly, Birmingham will never leave this league. They will flirt with the bottom 3 every year, go on a losing streak, another ownership problem, stadiums falling in half, another stands being shut, and they will never leave this league. I swear, honestly, I've never seen a team like it.
I think, Chris, that's probably how you feel about Everton in the Premier League.
Yeah.
I swear. Yeah, the same fruit with the same poisonous tree. They will stay there year after year after year. And that's why I've put 23rd Plymouth and bottom Rotherham.
Okay.
I just don't think I haven't got the team for it.
Is there anything to really say about Rotherham? I mean, I'm guessing we've all got them, but we'll find out now.
They're gambling too much on players that I don't think have got the thing anymore. Jordan Hugill, great striker in his day, but he's not. He's not, like I say, he's not what he was. It's like Jordan Rhodes. I love him to bits. I always will. He's probably arguably the best striker to be in the league. He's top 5 anyway. A lot of people would have that opinion. But he's got slow with age. And if the finishing's there, but the speed, the agility, all the other hungry parts for striker, they're not there. Well, I know that. It pains me to say it. It pains me to think it. But that's just how it goes on with age.
Yep. Chris, let's hear your bottom 3 then, mate. Go on.
So I've also got Rotherham bottom. Bless their hearts. That's all we need to say.
Yeah.
In 23rd, I've gone with Preston North End.
Okay.
Now, they actually looked good for a lot of last season, I have to say, or overachieved, shall we say. They didn't look good. It was actually horrible to watch. Disgusting, in fact.
0-0 every year.
Yeah. And Ryan Lowe, did a brilliant job with the resources he's got. However, there's just plenty of issues really to dissect with them. I don't think their recruitment's been good enough. I'm one to say, Calvin Ramsey, they brought in on loan as their right back. Now, he had 2 games last season for Liverpool, had a great season with Aberdeen. I don't think he'll light the Championship up. They brought in Freddie Woodman last season. And I think he's shaken. He used to be a real top Championship keeper. Not anymore, I'm afraid. And then as well, they got Will Keane leading the line. Who they've brought back. I don't see where their goals are coming from, to be honest. I worry for Preston.
He's shite, isn't he?
Yeah.
I know that.
It'll more be a case of they'll try defend it again. Like you said, where the goal's going to come from. Well, that answers that question. They'll just try to defend every game, and if they do stay up, it'll be on like 0-0 draws and stuff.
So yeah, I've gone with Preston, and then I've also gone with Sheffield Wednesday. I feel like, yes, they could ride the wave of a promotion. They're a big club in the Championship. They're a huge club in League One. They're a team who've been in the Premier League constantly. I just think that sacking Darren Moore was probably the worst decision they could have made.
Long time as well, yeah.
The poor guy, he can't get a break, can he? He was sacked when he was in 4th at West Brom, and then sacked at Sheffield Wednesday, where he just got them promoted after, probably the greatest comeback to ever happen in playoff history. I just don't get it.
It's shocking.
But yeah, I think they're down.
Yeah, well, I've gone Sheffield Wednesday as well in 22nd. I'm used to saying like 18th, 19th, 20th. So yeah, 22nd. I've gone with Rotherham in 23rd, and Plymouth in 24th. I just can't see Plymouth or Rotherham putting up much of a fight, to be honest with you. But
I back Plymouth. I back
yeah,
Plymouth.
I know. Yeah, you haven't got them in there. What you go on? Tell us why. If
Morgan
you want
Whittaker
me.
is the reason why.
Okay.
They brought him in after an amazing season last season on loan from Swansea, and Swansea have made a huge mistake letting him go. Yes, they've got Joel Peru, but whether he'll stay or go is another question. He's just a top quality striker, and Steven Schumacher, the fact that he came in after Ryan Lowe, who was like hailed as God in Plymouth, to then go on the same trajectory, I just think they'll keep going up. I think they'll keep going up. There's a huge catchment area for football there.
Yeah. So that's I have got everyone's right because last time. So that's the top 6 and the bottom 3. So neither of your two teams are in there anywhere. So we will find out where you think. I know I haven't asked you to give me this, but I'm sure you can think of some. We'll do that at the end. But for now, let's move on to the dark horse team. I've gone Ipswich. Now, I don't know if you can call them dark horses because like everyone's expecting, like a lot of people are expecting them to do quite well and praising McKenna as the second coming. But I've got Ipswich there. Chris, who have you got for dark horse?
Cardiff City.
Okay.
I think going into the summer, Cardiff fans were thinking we're going down. Like it's done. It's survived only because of Reading's points deduction last season. I was there at some games, and it was some of it was very hard to watch. But I think there's a real sense of optimism. Of course, Aaron Ramsey back home, like it's a magnificent. It's probably the signing of the championship for the last 5-6 years. Like it's so big.
It's whether it can keep up with it though. That's
exactly
the thing.
Exactly. But a morale boost as well. They've also brought in, and I think a lot of people will forget about this, and I'll mention this man again in a minute. Carlan Grant on loan.
Thank you.
Exceptional. You know, him and Callum Robinson will score goals, and that was Cardiff's problem last season. Not forgetting Ike Ugbo and Gutas as well as centre back. There's a lot of potential in this Cardiff City team. Now, I need
to utilise Carlin best. That's the thing.
I thought going into the season it would be, you know, Cardiff going on to League One, and that would send them into real trouble. They've got a huge stadium; they can't fill it anyway. But like realistically, I think there is a real opportunity for them to at least finish in the top half, which is an amazing achievement.
Yeah. Well, I'd be surprised, but I mean, I hope for you. Certainly, obviously, living in the area as well, that'd be great for the city, of course. Brad, who have you got for dark horse? Is it Huddersfield?
But just adding to what Chris said, it's I've seen stranger things happen, and they've bought really well. Like Carlin, from his time at us, a lot of teams that have like when they've used him in the past, they haven't used him like we did. We played him on the wing, and he played quality for us. West Brom didn't do that. They played him as a striker. Now, I don't know what he had to say about that, obviously, but that didn't seem to work as well as when he were at us. That cut inside technique, he loved it with us. That he got like 3/4 of his goals from it. So if they utilised those players they brought in well, they might not be far off. I would have had him to go down, in all honesty. But again, they're like a Birmingham. They're that team that just won't go. And there's a few of those in this league, and that's why I can't bring myself to put them in these categories. For me, though, my dark horse, this is going to shock a lot, actually, is QPR.
Okay.
I really do rate Gareth Ainsworth. I think he's a really good manager. And obviously, he came in last season. They went from first to near enough bottom in the transition of the season. But they've had a couple of injuries. But from what I've seen, I think they've signed well. I think they've made a couple of decent signings. And you guys said it about Carrick earlier. It's very underappreciated what a full season in regards to half a season can mean. It can mean the world of difference. I'm so excited to see it under Neil Warnock. he'll have a full year of having his arm around players' shoulders rather than half when half of them are already down tools and gone home.
Yeah.
It's the world of difference if used correctly.
And the biggest thing for QPR last season was they had struggles in between the sticks. Who they went and bought in a very experienced goalkeeper in Asmir Begovic. Like,
yes,
exceptional.
I mean, lads, tell me about Ilias Chair, because I keep seeing loads of Leicester fans saying they want us to go sign him.
Yeah.
Do you both rate him highly or?
Very good player, very skillful.
Do I think he'd start for Leicester? Probably not. Like,
well, we're lacking creativity, mate. At the minute, to be fair, we are.
If
We've
you've
got Wilfred Ndidi as our number 10. I ain't taking the piss.
If you're rocking up to the John Smiths, right, with Chair on the bench, I'll just put my camera away, walk back up steps, see you later, back to Wetherspoons.
Yeah.
And hope it's curry night. But apart from that, it's like I say, he has run the show when he's come to our place.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Like, why am I not seeing like a lot of other teams linked with him? Because
consistency.
Right. Okay. So that's a problem, is it?
Yeah, that's
There's
the biggest. Go on, Bob.
There's a running theme in this league with players that are capable of doing it, but they have such a bad squad around them that they can't be consistent with it. I've seen loads of them, seen many cases. Obviously, Cardiff have been in the league the same about 1 year less than us now. So obviously, I've kind of seen one more season or so. I've seen it happen every year. You get these players, they've got the world on the feet, but they've got some bloke at the side of them that doesn't have a clue what he's doing, and it just doesn't work. If Chair was in a good team, think about it, because obviously if he's doing that in a team that, like I say, went from first to bottom, bad morale, switching coaches again, it's a full year with the same coach with better signings, it'd change.
Yeah. Were you going to say something else as well, Chris? Or?
Yeah,
it's all good. It's all good. He's covered it perfectly.
He's covered it. Great. Okay, we've all given our. What was that one? Where were we?
Dark
Horse. Lovely. Yeah. On to the flop of the season. I've done this in two categories. I've gone for a flop of the season team and flop of the season player. I've gone with. So for the team, I've gone with Coventry, and I'm only putting them in flop just because obviously they did so well last season. Obviously, they've lost Callum Doyle, who was on loan last year, who's ended up at Leicester, of course.
Jokeres
is a big miss. They've brought in Sims, right? Who, I mean, it was quite a hefty fee, wasn't it? But I don't know. I just can't see. I mean, I haven't put them in the top 6, and I don't think none of us have, right? So, sorry, yeah. But yeah, I just can't see them breaking into the playoffs. So I've put them as a flop. Might be a little bit harsh calling it a flop. Chris, I'll start with you, mate.
Well, as I hinted at earlier, my flop club is Southampton.
Yeah.
Now, this is based in reason, for the fact that look at Russell Martin's first seasons wherever he's been. It has been a very, very gradual process. Now, I'm not saying he's a bad manager, but he hasn't achieved anything. Okay, playing this very slow style. I mean, I watched it when he first came in, and it was hard to watch. You feel like it's needless half the time. Maybe towards the end of the season, and he does get on good runs, and they do sometimes score goals. I just don't think that this Southampton squad is seasoned enough to cope with the Championship whilst playing this style. I just don't. I think they could fade into mid-table mediocrity. Seriously, I just feel, especially if they lose players as well. I mean, I don't know how many they'll lose. Ward-Prowse, definitely. I don't know how anyone isn't in for Carlos Alcaraz. Che Adams.
Yeah.
There's Livramento, I think, is on his way. I just worry for them. I just think that if they are going to get out of the Championship, it will take them 2 or 3 years. So this year, I think they'll be the flop club.
And what are your thoughts on their signings so far? I mean, Manning was good last
Very
year.
good.
Right? He's been good left back. Very
good signing, Manning. And they bought in Shea Charles as well from City.
Yes. That was a big fee as well, wasn't it? That was
a lot of money. A lot of money. I worry. I just don't think there's enough Championship about them, if you know what I mean. Because every great team that has gone up from the Championship has had a Championship element. It sounds very, very ridiculous, but it's true. And I just don't think there's enough about them. I might be proven wrong, and it might be the biggest, most amazing Championship season ever for Russell Martin, and they might piss the league. I don't know, but I just think on previous evidence, it's going to be difficult.
Okay, Brad, over to you for your flop of the season, the team.
Blackburn Rovers. Now, I like what Chris said earlier, but I actually do disagree with a lot of it. I liked his reasoning. They have got a good youth set up. I would agree with that. But I don't think they're half the team without Diaz. I've seen, like I say, I've had the fortunate side of it, I'd say now, where I've seen Town play against them multiple times, and we have, they've never beaten us, like, apart from in COVID, they've not convincingly beaten us once. And that's, like I say, that's under two different managers. And with, I wouldn't say, completely similar teams, but there were some running teams with the players there. And we've had 0-0s, we've had close affairs, we've had draws, but they've never beaten us like massively. And every time I've watched them, everything has run through Diaz. The goals, Diaz, penalties, Diaz. Without him, I think they're going to struggle. There's, like I'm saying, there's a lot of teams that have come into this league from above, added to the however many that were close to the playoffs last season. I just think it's almost like, I know it isn't, but it's almost like more teams are getting added to the league. Because before, you'd forget about four of them. We were probably one of them. But now, it's like everyone's, things are becoming more clear. Everyone's becoming more visible because people are making better decisions, better signings. A lot more players are coming from abroad, from the Scottish League, and that's why it's becoming more where you're looking at teams like in the middle, like Norwich, and thinking, yeah, they'll get playoffs because it's just completely changing.
What's your thoughts on Thomason? What do you think to him? I mean, I know that Leicester he was one of the many names linked with Leicester, even when Rodgers got sacked. So, when the Premier League season was still going on. And he was heavily linked as well earlier this summer. But I'll start with you, Chris. Thoughts on Thomason?
Progressive.
Is he overrated or not?
I don't think we could say he's over or under because he's had one season, and they finished 8th, I believe, which is a good season. They should have probably got playoffs. Unfortunately, they didn't. But yeah, very progressive. And for a Championship manager, I think that's becoming more of a common theme now. You're seeing people trying to play attacking football, but you have to have that game management in situations. Maybe he didn't potentially show that to the best of his ability last year. But a year in the Championships gives you great experience. And Thomason has the experience and the name to command respect. And I think if you're a Blackburn player, if you're a striker, and you're like, oh my God, I'm playing for John Dale Thomason, like that's amazing.
Yeah, have you got anything to add to that, Brad?
Yeah, I mean, again, like Chris said, we can't say he's underrated or overrated because, like I say, that transition period where a new manager comes in, you can easily bottle it and finish lower. So the fact he, was consistent with Blackburn's previous year in just missing out on the playoffs, obviously is testament to him. But like I say, it also fit. I know this kind of contradicts it, but it goes on the other side of the coin. Maybe they finish in the same place every year because they're just not quite good enough to get in the playoffs. And it's not a case of always the tactics, it's a case of the players. Diaz getting injured. That was the reason that they didn't make it the year we went to Wembley. That was the reason they didn't do it that year because, again, a lot goes through him. Now, he's an exciting manager. There are a lot of managers that play boring football. I wouldn't say he's one of them, but it goes back to your point with Martin. Does boring football win football matches? Does that style of football with what I believe is a better team than Swansea City work a lot more easily? Does it? It's all about context because Wilder's a great manager, but he couldn't do it at Watford. He couldn't do it at Borough, but he, went flying with Sheffield United. So. Yeah. It works different at different teams.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. On to the last category of the night, flop of this. I sound like an Oscars host. Flop of the season player. So Be interesting to see if I'll start with Chris, because does he have a Southampton player, because he's got them as the team?
I don't.
Okay.
I have a Leeds player.
I do as well. I do as well. So let's hear it.
One of, I think, the most tremendously overrated footballers, and I'm saying this as a man who supports Wales. Ethan Ampadu.
Wow.
Now,
Okay.
I look, people will come at me and think like, "What on earth are you saying?" Consecutive relegations, 3 of them for different teams. Now, that's, you can arguably say that that's not his fault. Okay, you can be put in a pile of shit and you can't help yourself, right? But for me, I just don't think, in the 50 plus times I've watched him, he's impressed me. He was arguably Wales' best player at the World Cup, and that's saying something, because he was still bad. Like that's how bad we were. And at the end of the day, I just don't think he is the sort of player to help Leeds. And he doesn't have the maturity that people say he does. He doesn't have the possessional awareness. He doesn't have the defensive awareness. He doesn't have the physicality. I just don't see what he actually has that anyone would think is worthy of a top level footballer. And there's a reason why Chelsea let him go permanently. That's what I gotta say.
Yeah, well, I've actually gone with Sinistera. Now, I feel like it's a little bit of a cop-out, because it's basically my ongoing feud with Leeds fans. You won't know, but I have an ongoing feud with Leeds fans because Joe...
Can't imagine why.
Joe, obviously, Wayman, who's in that group chat that you guys are in, me and him have had back and forth since they got promoted to the Premier League. They're so delusional. The Leeds fans, they're just so delusional. And I've been given it all summer that Sinistera is gonna tear up Championship. So I feel like this is just me getting a little, punch in the back and saying, no, he's not. He's going to be the flop of the season. That's if he even stays. You never know. He might still go, but who knows? This is, I suppose, we're saying flops the season. Any player we say, obviously, they could still leave their clubs. But Brad, who are you going with for flop of the season?
Well, first things first, I have to go back to Chris on what he said about Ampadu. Now, I have this big belief in this league that people rate teams just on the size of the club. And I believe Sunderland are the worst for it. I think without Diallo, they'll struggle, and people are just rating them higher just because, I love Sunderland, great club, big club, great fan. It's a running team. That's why we've always been ruled out, and why Forest were already promoted before Whistle had even been blown. But you can obviously see I'm still hurt by that. But no, a lot of players will go to big clubs and they'll be like, big club signed him. He'll be a great player. It's not the case. It's not always thing. Going on to what you said, you were getting me emotional there. I've been longing for someone to see the sense for years. Honestly, my God. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. The other guy's in for a shock when he joins us on a live. But no, I've gone with a former Town player. Now, I really rated him with his time at us, but he's joined a cursed team, and that's Tom Ince at Watford. Now, a lot of players are going to Watford, and Watford are like, again, they're like that itch you can't scratch. They're just not doing all. They're just kind of there now, and I don't think anyone thinks that they're more than, no one said playoffs today. No one said flop. No one said relegation, but I think they're just there. They're just going to be flirting with that 12th and 13th spot all season, and they've not. They've just lost Sarr. He's probably jumped ship. He's probably thought, sod this, run while I can. I just don't rate them. And I feel like Ince, if he wanted to get back on track, that is the worst place he could have gone.
And how long will their manager last this season? Do we reckon?
Well, I start work at about 7:30 tomorrow, so we'll call it 1:45.
Yeah, Valerian Ismail, man. I also think that was a very tremendously unambitious appointment. It's someone who succeeded very high with Barnsley, did amazingly well.
Same as Wilder, same as Wilder.
It just didn't work out. I believe it. Who did he go through last season? I can't quite put a finger on it. West Brom. That was it. He went to, and it just didn't work out for him. I don't know what's going to happen. The one thing I'll say about Ince is it was like 50 grand. So if Watford lose out on that, then oh well.
I just went with the safe bet because. I've called out some horrible stuff over the years. I'll be fair. There was some that I look back on and think, oh my God, like, but you know.
I have noticed I did actually miss a category.
I was going to say, yeah.
I can't believe, this is a big one. I don't know how I missed this. So top goal scorer. I'll start with you, Brad. Who have you got in there, mate?
Now, this is dependent on whether one player moves, because obviously that's the risk we're running by this. So I've gone with Che Adams.
Okay.
Now, simple reason, I don't think Southampton are going to walk the league or anything. I do think it'll be close. You know, with what I've said in the playoffs and the top two, I do think all of it's going to be a big battle. Because there's so many quality teams and quality players coming into the league now. But when Che Adams, again, I'm going to use the same thing that I said earlier. When Che Adams was at Birmingham, look how well he did. Imagine what he can do in this league with the players around him. This is what players like Che Adams, opportunities like this is what he'll live for. Because if he smashes it like I think he will this season, he'll have so many doors open on a plate for him. Southampton go up with him, he'll have the option to stay or to move to another Prem team for higher money. And it works both ways. Southampton will be laughing because they'll get loads of money for him. But no, I think he'll score loads of goals. I think he's got a couple of players around him, like Alcaraz, players that can make stuff happen. We've seen it against good teams in the Prem. Southampton had a habit of losing to the worst teams, but then giving the best ones games. So if those bits of magic come out in this league, it won't be far off. But that is dependent on if he stays, and if not, I've gone with Jamie Vardy.
Okay, yeah. That's. I mean, if you want to talk me through that, I think everyone in the chat will agree. But
probably lost a yard in pace. Let's not forget that. But he's one of the best strikers to grace the Premier League in recent years. I think doesn't get half the credit he deserves for what he did in that team and for how long.
Yes.
Every other team, 50 million, will have him. You know, like just a random player from abroad and be like, yeah, we're signing him. Leicester stuck true to the gut. He stuck to Leicester. It worked both ways, and he achieved probably the best miracle in football. But he's lost a yard, getting injured a lot. If he keeps fit, I think he will bang loads in this league, though. Like I said, those teams down the bottom, they've not got the organisation, the time, the strength. You know, he's still quite quick. It's only the world's best that won't be able to keep him out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you two know this. He turned down a move to Saudi Arabia this summer.
What bloke?
What does that say though about? I mean, there's been no doubt about Jamie Vardy's loyalty to Leicester, and obviously from when we won the Premier League, Arsenal came in for him. He turned them down. I think he's been linked with a couple other clubs, you know, in the years after that. And then he's turning down, you know, however much, 10 million a season in Saudi Arabia to come and play against Cardiff and Huddersfield.
It shows he means business. It shows he's loyal. It don't only outline his loyalty, but it outlines that he's taking the end of his career serious.
Yes.
You know, it'd be such a great chapter to close if he got you promoted. And then if he decided to leave, that'd be up to him. But then some players thrive off that momentum again. You know, once the team goes up, that's it, foaming at the mouth straight away. So if he got you promoted, he could then go to stand for another year and maybe go in a player coach role.
I do think he'll leave. Yeah, if we get promoted, I mean, even if we don't get promoted, I think this will be his last season at Leicester. Whether he decides to retire or maybe go to the MLS or something like that.
Yeah, of course.
Can't see him ever going to Saudi Arabia.
But it shows he means business for this time of year. This year is so important for the future of your club because, like Chris said earlier, I've just realised that the camera's flipped, so I'm now pointing to the grey area. But like Chris, I've just forgot what he said now. Just from being stupid, it'll come to me. You guys carry on.
No, yeah, I agree with everything you're saying there. Maybe he might end up at Sheffield Wednesday because obviously that's where he started his career, of course, in the youth team. I'll just jump in here with my top goal scorer because I've got the same as you, Brad. I've got Che Adams.
There we go.
No, not Vardy. Che Adams. I have.
No,
I think if Perot goes to a Leicester or Southampton, I think he might do it. I think if Perot comes to Leicester, he would probably. You know, you might see Vardy start in the first few games, but if he doesn't, you know, hit the ground running, I think Perot will be straight in there, to be honest with you. But I'll stick with Che Adams for now, just because obviously Perot is still a Swansea player. What about you, Chris? Who have you gone for?
I think the Golden Boot's coming to South Wales this season. Let's just say that.
Okay.
I like you. I think Joel Perreault, whether he leaves Swansea or not, will win it. I just think he's getting better as he's getting older. So good. Shouldn't be in the Championship, if we're being honest. And if he's still at Swansea by the end of the window, or if he's still in the Championship, he's still, I think, a Premier League player now. In a sort of similar category to Che Adams. I can't go and say Southampton are a flop team and then pick Che Adams as my golden boot. No. So I've got to go with that. My other option is Karlan Grant. Now, he's done it in the Championship previously with Huddersfield. Why can't he go and reconnect with Callum Robinson, get that front two, those pairing with, an exceptional winger in Ugbo as well? I think it's there, lads. I think it's there to happen, and Karlan Grant could get that golden boot, but it could be wishful thinking.
And no one's not fancying Akpom, either of you?
I think he'll get 20. I think he'll get 20, but it was a hot streak last season. Big hot streak.
Very good player, but the team's got better, and when the team around you gets better, other players will start to score the goals and contribute as well. But no, he's bold saying Karlan, but top tip, play him in striker, don't play him on the wing because he's used best up front just normally as a striker.
Yeah. Chris, you told us earlier that you've got Cardiff as your dark horse. Where, if you could give me a league position, what are you going with this season?
I'm going to go ninth. But I think they could go either 3 places higher or 3 places lower. So I'm going very much in the middle of the pack.
I'd agree with that. I would.
So yeah. And Brad, what about Huddersfield? Where are you putting them, mate, this year?
It's tricky because we've not made any signings yet, apart from a backup goalie and a lone right back. That being said, I think we boast, one of the best managers in the league, I'd say, one of the most experienced. It's tricky. I've been turning on this one since the stream started because I knew you were going to ask it me, even though you didn't put it down. I'm going to go with 14th. 14th.
Okay.
Yeah.
And all 3 of us obviously have Leicester in first place. I'm not going. I was on a stream a few days ago with that same Joe, the Leeds fan. He's clipped me up big time. He's got receipts because I did say on his stream that I tip Leicester to break the points record of 106 points. So I went a bit. I joked then onwards because I then asked, "Has anybody gone invincible?" I don't think that's going to happen. But I did.
Couple of shandies that night.
Yeah, but I did tip us to break the. You never know. But yeah, so I'm not going to say anything stupid like that again. The last question I want to ask you both, just a quick question here. I'll start with you, Brad. Is this the most competitive championship ever? What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Because even though I am writing off teams like Ipswich, if they do perform as well as everyone's saying, then, it's a tricky one. Like I said, that big club bias, I think it's going to shock a lot of people this year. That whole, they don't deserve to be that. No, they do. They've played awful. I think a lot of teams that you don't expect are going to just switch on and they're going to be a lot higher than we think. I don't think Leeds are going to be anywhere near that playoffs. I'll be completely honest with you. It's probably bitter. It's probably biased because I can't really say that and be on the fence or anything. But I do think there are a lot of overrated teams, and I think they're one of them. I think there's a lot of teams in the cracks, your Millwalls, your Norwiches, that have what it takes. They've just lacked the consistency to do it. And I think with the people that they've got behind the scenes, they'll make that happen. And I think that the level of competitivity in the league this year, I've never seen a league this hard. If we didn't have Neil Warnock as a manager, I would be very worried about relegation. It's only because we've got him that I feel a little bit more at ease.
Chris, your thoughts? Is it the most competitive championship season ever? I want to say ever, but in recent history, let's say.
I think so. I think you can safely say it's 23 teams in Rotherham. No offense to Rotherham, but you're going down. I'm not sure if there'll be any Millers fans watching, but if there are, then sorry, you're going down. Luton have proved it. Like, who would have
Yes.
said 3 years ago Luton Town would be a Premier League team? Why couldn't that be Plymouth or Ipswich? Honestly, you had no reason, because Luton, realistically, we thought they were batting, way above their weight, not punched above their weight when they were in the Championship, let alone in the Premier League. So anything can happen. Anything can happen, and that's why I love it. I absolutely love this league.
Yeah, and on the back of it, it's probably the weakest Premier League in a long time as well, to be honest with you, in my opinion. But
you would say that, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I would say that. You're right. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to wrap it up there, lads. Thanks so much for jumping on. Like I said at the start, everyone who's watching, this is going to be a weekly thing from now on. We will try and stick to 45 minutes in the future, but obviously we had loads to go through today. So, and it's good as well, because not just me, but Leicester fans who are watching, a lot of us just haven't really kept up to date really with the Championship over recent years. So it's good to try and fill knowledge gaps, I suppose. As I said, the links to Chris and Brad's channels will be in the description. I believe it's Chris, your channel's Stonage, is that right?
Close. Stonage. That's my
Stonage.
surname. So I went with that. But yeah, I haven't uploaded in a while, but I will get back to it.
Lovely. And Brad is Brad Barbs. Is that right?
Yeah,
I think.
Spot on,
yeah.
First try.
Have you got much coming up at all anytime soon?
Yes. I've let go a bit of the Cremo because I've been working heavily, but that'll be coming up soon. And then we have a friendly on Saturday, so that'll be the first vlog of the season. Obviously, if you guys do go over to my channel, there will be a lot of new content coming on TikTok. I'm going to be buying a microphone and doing a lot of fan interviews, and then short clips of that will make it onto TikTok, and hopefully we can, go a bit viral on that, and that'd be nice.
Yeah, and hopefully Chris and Brad as well will be regulars on the Championship chat as well, as frequently as possible. Hopefully next Thursday we'll be looking forward to Leicester thumping Coventry 4-0 or something on the first day. Who knows?
Hopefully we'll both stay in the league as well. That's another thing worth mentioning.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, thanks again, both of you, for coming on. Thanks for everyone who's watching. Who's drop us a like if you can as well. Hit subscribe, and yeah, join us same time, 7 o'clock next Thursday. Cheers all. Thank you.